achieving your goals, reaching those big, audacious, hairy heights, creating more abundance than you've ever imagined, running an epic empire, a dynasty, and a legacy for your entire family. You're the person who commands attention, who everybody notices, and who gets shit done. You take action effortlessly, you stand in your power, and you seamlessly command the universe. You're the epitome of the hyper-successful CEO boss babe. Now, I know this sounds amazing, but while you're here, you're simultaneously afraid of being too bossy, being called bitchy, maybe too demanding or too independent, or leaving your friends and family in the dust, or even being taken over by greed, pride, jealousy, or generally turning into a bit of a predatory jerk. The answers to you leaning into that boss babe energy safely without jumping off the jerky materialistic cliff lies in, you guessed it, Tantra. My loves, welcome back to my channel. I'm Stephanie Jaie, the Erotic and Tantric Alchemist. On this channel, we blend sexuality and spirituality with the esoteric and the occult and modern and ancient. We fuse it all together, we bring it down to 3D reality, and we add in a little bit of inspiration to help you create the life that you've always dreamed of. If you didn't already know that spirituality and sexuality are literally your rocket ship to living an incredible life, then I've got a lot to teach you. So you're for sure gonna wanna hit that subscribe button so you can join me down the rabbit hole, okay? And for those of you that are returning, if you've been loving my content and the ability to ground all of this spirituality for 3D results, then you're going to love the incredible content that is in my 100% free Facebook group called The Sex Lab. Make sure to check it out. The link is in the description down below, and I spend a lot of my free time there. Okay, so we're gonna look at the self-mastery map again today. In this series, we're covering how you can use the tantric principle of polarity or duality, whatever you want to call it, along with the self-mastery map to really step into action, into expectation, demand, and really creating the life of your dreams without going so far that you become a jerk along the way. As a quick note, if this is the first time you're catching me, again, obviously hit that subscribe button. It would be really, really good. I want you to know that this part is part 4 of a 6-part mini series all about this foundational concept I've developed called the self-mastery map. This map leans on the principles, as I mentioned already, of tantric duality and a whole load of other ancient and modern systems to explain exactly why everybody keeps saying maybe you're too independent to settle down, or why receiving love is a challenge or gifts, and why your creativity is maybe a little lost. Yes, there's actually, honestly, one simple solution to all of these situations, and the majority of it actually does lie in Tantra. So the self-mastery map literally teaches you how to not only take personal responsibility for every single relationship in your life, but it then shows you how to manage your energy at will, reminding you that you are not a victim to your environment, to your natal chart, or even your Myers-Briggs or Enneagram profiles. You get to be everything. We know that you're so much more than all of those things. And when you really understand and utilize this map, you become the master of yourself, the master of your energy, and in doing so, the master of your environment. That is thanks to the law of correspondence, of course. When you realize through Tantra that you can be literally every single personality on the Myers-Briggs, every single Enneagram type, and all that's required for you is to actually consciously choose and align your energy in any given moment, it's magic, you guys. I mean, that's what I've been doing. It's actual magic. So in episode 1 of this mini-series, we went through an intro of the map and we explained the different forces that are at play. So that's a really great foundational video. In episode 2, we went through how exactly you use that map to shift into the different energetic quadrants and start mastering your environment. And then those 2 episodes, you guys, they're absolutely vital to understand how this process really works. If you have not watched those already and you found me here, please make sure to watch them next. Again, you will find description, links, and all that kind of good stuff down below. The remaining 4 videos allow us to zoom into each of one of the 4 quadrants. Last week we covered light yin. This week we're going into its polarity, the dark yang energy. Now, if you're already looking at the map and you're like, what? I'm pretty sure I can see 5 areas on your stuff. What are you talking about? Yes, there is a 5th quadrant. quintant. I think it's called a quintant, right? There's a fifth quintant. And that area is important once you know all of the other areas. Until then, it's actually kind of irrelevant. So we're not going to spend that much time here on the mini series on that fifth area. And I know you're like, what do you mean we're not going to get everything? What do you mean the fifth isn't there? But here's the deal. As you guys already know, I could literally spend 4 days on each of these topics. And that's really more than what YouTube is made for. So consider these videos as your level 1 intro information. If you're loving this and you want to go even deeper, including into the fifth quadrant, quintant, whatever, I have a program that I will be launching this summer. And if you are really into geeking out on this more with me, you'll want to join my mailing list at stephaniejaie.com and you will be the first to know about it. Again, also link down below. Okay, all the preamble over. Let's talk about the dark yang energy. What are the characteristics? How do I get some of the characteristics and how do I get less of the ones I don't like? And more importantly, how do I use this to master myself and therefore my environment? So first, let's orient ourselves. Where in the map are we looking? And by the way, if you do not have a copy of the map, make sure you grab one. It is also free. And again, in that description down below, it's a treasure trove for you guys. So the dark yang is polar opposite of light yin, which we covered last week. Therefore, we are now in that lower right-hand quadrant, so lower right. Now, why do we refer to the horizontal axis as yin and yang instead of like feminine and masculine or right brain and left brain? So for me personally, we see yin and yang referenced in Chinese medicine, in Taoism, and in macrobiotics. Maps and resources from other researchers have held different names for this line. Sometimes we see it, again, as mentioned, like feminine and masculine. We see that at the Institute of New Paradigm Intimacy with their erotic map. And sometimes we see it as left brain, right brain, which we see in Jungian psychology. For me personally, I prefer to use yin and yang as the metric. I personally think that this is actually the most accurate and complete description of the way that the energy actually manifests. And as an added bonus, these words don't have any like societal norms or dogma or expectations because we're not dealing with genders. So we're going to use yin and yang. With that, what is yang energy? Defined simply, yang energy is just a more dense state of materialization. It's contracted, pointy, concentrated, sometimes severe and intense. Particle form and the material that we find in this world. It's the energy of fusion combining into greater density and contraction. Yang energy can also be called masculine and would tie to the left hemisphere of the brain. This is the realm of logic, of action, of planning, and doing in this region. So now that we understand the different axes and why they're named and what it means to have yang energy, let's dive into the characteristics of this region. So the dark yang energy actually correlates to, and if you're looking at the map, you'll see this, in tarot, pentacles, and the element is earth. In alchemy, we call it cold plus dry. In astrology, this would relate to Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo, and the planets would be Venus, Mercury, and Saturn. In Buddhism, the klesha is pride, the expression is expansiveness, and skandha is sensation. Carl Jung calls this the warrior, and the Institute of New Paradigm Intimacy calls this the dark masculine. So really, the dark yang is a powerful, dominant, and very prominent energy. It is the energy of getting shit done. If you've ever felt like a tank or maybe a raging bull, moving mountains to achieve your goals, that is the energy of dark yang. It is the energy that demands attention by commanding a room. It uses sharp precision, dedication, determination, and motivation to achieve. This quadrant also loves the material realm, everything of beauty. Thanks to Taurus and Venus's influence, we are going to appreciate luxury here. A little bit of showing off, a little bit of audacity, and maybe a sprinkle of opulence are expected in this quadrant. Think of the boss babe at the height of her career with all of the awards and the golden statues and the beautiful home and all of the luxury surrounding her. She knows what she wants and she knows how to get it. And she gets those things often, if not always. It can also be incredibly stubborn. This region can often get too far into the demand and of more, and can lean into burnout, being overly demanding, penetrative, and even a little seedy, rapey, and full of violation. Think of any of the evil boss archetypes on TV, the one that has everything, but is still over-demanding from their staff, pushing them into their light yin and demanding the world from them, no matter whether they sleep or eat. This quadrant can be super prone to greed, pride, and obsession over the material and overachievement. And as with all things, balance therefore is key, you guys. It is so powerful to step into this when we want to get shit done, but staying here too long or for the wrong reasons can be quite damaging, not just to ourselves, but also to those around us. Is this archetype kind of starting to land for you? Have you been in this space, or have you been on the receiving end maybe of this energy? When I was in corporate, this dark yang, light yin polarity was where I lived. I was personally in my dark yang so often, I subjected my body to poor sleep, overdoing it, caffeinated drinks, and little time for food, friends, or fun in favor of high heels, achievement, praise, and fancy material possessions, which I had a lot of. My bosses, however, interestingly, were often more grounded in their dark yang, which meant that when they were around, I got pushed into my light yin because that's how we polarize. Usually that meant that I was in my out of balance light yin since they were out of balance in their dark yang, and I would polarize to the same level. This would often lead to me agreeing to unrealistic deadlines, not being able to say no or push back, and not being able to ask for resources, and generally just turning into a welcome mat whenever they were around, which of course left me in not a great state. Now I could have left, but of course my pride wouldn't have allowed that for a long time, and so I stayed and I did what I had to achieve. Because of this, I achieved a lot in my corporate career, but I also had adrenal fatigue and burnout and a variety of stress-related physical symptoms along the way. This is an example of how this polarity between light yin and dark yin can play out, and it's not just in corporate. So hopefully this shows you that the dark yang can be penetrative, it can be over-demanding, it can be predatory, and even have a rapey feel. Now, it's not inherently sexual energy that we're referring to here, although that can definitely come through, of course. What we're referring to in this instance is the taking what is not offered, or pushing into an aura or an energy. This is what comes across as predatory and demanding and dominating. You've probably had at least one boss that has exemplified this energy, or maybe you've felt it in yourself. Obviously, it's not all bad. This is a super important energy, you guys, that is required for us to move forward in life. It's absolutely vital. But the key is to stay in balance with this energy, to exemplify the characteristics of driven, motivated, and goal-oriented without falling into the out-of-balance characteristics where we start to push people away from us. As with all of the quadrants, we do not want to stay in this energy all the time. Had I learned to leave this energy at the office instead of also bringing it home with me and subjecting my friends and my family and my partners to it, then everybody around me would have been really grateful and we all would have been a lot happier. So from here, I hope that you have a good understanding of what the dark yang, warrior, dark masculine archetype looks like, feels like, and how to notice if it's in or out of balance. We can see the absolutely incredible benefits that come from this area and also some of its pitfalls that are big. With all of that in mind, let's learn how we can step into creating more of this energy in our lives without going so far that we're hurtful to those around us. Stepping into the positive aspects of the dark yang energy is where we really get to lean into our powerful, masculine yang force and start to create the life of our dreams. The dark yang is all about action and all about doing. It is about making shit happen. No longer are we waiting to receive, which is light yin from last week, or planning and creating action, which is light yang, which we'll do next week. Now we are in action, action, action. We take what is ours. We are a warrior. We are the boss babe. To step into this energy, we simply consciously choose when it is appropriate and consciously step into it. This is not the energy of softness or collaboration. It is the energy of do it now. Where in your life do you think you could maybe benefit from getting off your ass and going to get things done? Maybe you need a little bit of help with going to the gym or finally starting that project you've been the project you've been putting off and procrastinating. So you can ask yourself this question: what would the warrior version of me do? And then the key is to actually do it. Don't write it down. Don't think about it. Don't plan it. Do it. Take the action. This is dark yang energy. Ways that I personally love to embody this energy are in the way that I dress, the music I listen to, and the way I set boundaries for myself, which are strong when we're in this energy. And as a reminder, given this is a powerful energy, we want to be very mindful of where we might end up polarizing others. When we step into our dark yang, we will polarize our environment into the light yin. This can sometimes be very productive and other times kind of hurtful. So we want to remember to choose and use these tools consciously with sacred intention and awareness. Be committed to observing your environment and how it's responding to you. Notice that when you do this with conscious choice, we also have the responsibility of being aware of how it's impacting others. I know it sounds cheesy, but thank you, Spider-Man. With great power becomes great responsibility, you guys. So important. Now you might be asking, what do we do if we do find ourselves suddenly trapped in the out of balance expression of the dark yang? How do we get ourselves out? What happens if we see ourselves being too pushy or too demanding or too focused on pride and greed and material possessions? How can I handle it? What can I do? So the answer is, just like all the other quadrants, we notice that the out of balance neurotic expression exists on the outside of the main circle. This means that the further we are from center, the more into the extremity of that quadrant we are, and therefore we are more out of balance. The key to staying in balance is to stay close to center. We want to step into this energy, but we don't want to dive head first so that we lose sight of the shore. And again, that applies, you guys, to all quadrants, not just this one. So if you start to notice that you've been living in a neurotic expression of the dark yang energy, and the way that you would move closer to the center is by intentionally cultivating more of the opposing energy. So in this case, that would be the light yin, which we did last week. We did a full video, and so that link is in the description down below, but to give you a quick summary, you really want to intentionally and consciously choose to step into nurturing, honesty, openness, and receptivity. Questions that you can maybe ask yourself are, what would it feel like to receive my desires instead of taking them? Or how can I be more nurturing to those I love? Or even, am I actually being entirely honest with myself? These questions will help you step more into your light yin energy as you answer them. The energy of receiving, of openness, of honesty, compassion, and nurturing. That will bring you back into balance with yourself and therefore bring your environment back into balance as well. Okay? This helps us stay true to our hearts. So my loves, I know this has been a lot of information. We've gone through, as a quick summary, what is yang energy and how to identify it in yourself, your environment, on the map, and maybe even friends or family. We've reviewed at a high level the related archetypes from a variety of esoteric and modern systems of categorization, and we've talked in depth about the imbalance and out of balance characteristics of dark yang, warrior, dark masculine energy, and even explored what it means to be in this quadrant, listed the benefits, and really gone through some of the important pitfalls. We've answered questions such as, how can I bring more motivation into my life? Why does everybody say I'm too independent to settle down? How can I receive and be in my power? And how can I take action without overpowering those around me? This quadrant, more than any other, empowers you to take action and make your destiny a reality. But again, it does come with a cost. Make sure you're not spending all your time here. For those who really want to step into this power and make sure, absolutely sure, that they're doing it in a safe, ethical, and grounded way, both for, their own benefit as well as the benefit of everyone around them, or if you're identifying yourself in this neurotic expression and desiring to get more into balance, you might want to consider the Self-Mastery Intensive that's launching this summer. Make sure you sign up for my mailing list, stephaniejay.com, to be notified when this goes live in a few months. Between now and then, let me know if you have any questions at all. I'm sure there's probably about 1 billion of them. I'd also love to know where this quadrant shows up for you most in your life. Is it you or is it someone around you? And is this something that you've ever seen yourself in, or do you see it a lot in others? How has this shown up in your workplace, or how's it shown up at home? And can you identify how being in this energy at home might have threatened your sex or interpersonal life? I'd love to see your reflections in the comments down below. And guys, while we're talking about comments, I don't need to remind you, or maybe I do, I don't know, because we're going to do it anyways, that every single comment, like, and share that this video receives makes it a lot easier for other amazing humans to find us. please do them and you a favor by liking, subscribing, commenting, and even sharing this video with those who need to see it. Our community will absolutely thank you for it. As a reminder, next week, 10 a.m. Pacific on Sunday, we will be diving into the light yang energy. This is the peaceful space holder, the kingly energy, the open and honest planner, who can also exhibit signs of numbness, lack of arousal, and even erectile dysfunction and premature ejaculation. So catch us next week when we talk all about the benefits and pitfalls of being in the light yang energy. I can't wait to see you there, my loves. Have a great week.